Hello, YouTube world. Welcome to the Explain It podcast with myself and Ingryd Hernandez. And my co-host today, Caroline Kane, is busy closing a deal. So she will be with us maybe by the end. If not, you'll have to catch her live next week. So thank you everybody for showing up. If you're here, I'm gonna let people kind of start coming in. Just a friendly reminder to check out the podcast description, as we are still doing the contest with the Relay Financial folks, and this is your chance to join or to win $50,000. So if you're a small business owner and you'd like to join the contest, $50,000 is up for grabs. And then there's another $50K that they're giving away, but they're breaking it apart. I can't recall. I think it's $10,000, $15,000, and then prizes of $500. So as you know, we bank with Relay Financial, very, very accommodating to small business folks, and they don't overcharge you. So you can get up to 20 accounts per LLC. So we definitely encourage you to check them out. And then I think that's where we are. So in today's podcast, we have an amazing person with us. She is a business owner who took a chance on herself, and maybe we're going to walk through a little bit of what that looks like, through one of the craziest times to go and start your own business. So this gal, I've known her since I think my sophomore year in high school. She is so amazing, multifaceted, and we're excited to have her on the podcast today. So here we go. Hola, Vanessa.
Hi, guys. How are you? Buenos dias. ¿Cómo estás? I don't know. We're doing this English, Spanglish. What are we doing here?
Well, we could do whatever we want, but
okay, well, let's do it. That's why we hang out. That's why we're friends.
Yes, our Spanglish is on point, sort of. So today we're doing this podcast from like a semi-castle. I am in one of the biggest opportunities that I've had to date, so we're excited. And that's where all this brick is coming from. But Vanessa, let's learn about you. So talk about yourself and this Victory Legal Solutions. By the way, I'm waiting for my hat. I want that hat.
You want the merch? You want the merch? You get the merch, girl. I got you.
Okay, fantastic. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get started?
So Vanessa with Victory Legal Solutions, and a little bit of, I'm trying to get my hat straight. It's weird. Okay, anyways. A little bit of the name and why I chose it was because for many of you, and I guess my lawyer wanted me to tell you, I'm not a lawyer. So I got to put that out there first. But my connection to the legal world, I've been in the legal world 20 plus years, from the public side, working with adult probation, the county attorneys, and then making my move over to the private sector, working for a medical malpractice firm, and eventually working my way, getting my paralegal certificate, and being a paralegal specifically in the what we call the personal injury world, which a lot of people understand that as like car accidents, which is absolutely accurate, but there's other things that fall under that. So the reason I created the name Victory was because everyone thinks that once you get an attorney, that everything just runs smoothly, and that's not the case. And with any victory, you're going to have to overcome certain challenges along the way to be victorious. So with that in mind, that's how I came with the name Victory. So a little bit of my background, a little bit how the name was created, but here in the Valley, and what I'm like your go-to really for any legal situation. A lot of people have a habit of just eliminating themselves from legal representation, or even getting assistance because they don't think they can afford it. They don't think they have access to it. And all people think when you think legal is money, 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 money. And so they scare themselves out of it. So I'm here to take the legal out of your situation, educate you based off like what you're being presented with, and give you some options.
Nice. So one of the reasons in the description of this podcast that I use the term concierge is because I feel like that's sort of what you are. Like
Absolutely.
Every time I've done some sort of, you go to like those fancy hotels and they're like, hey, can you tell me where to go get a limo? Or, hey, can you tell me how to get to wherever? Or they're your concierge. They have all the answers to all your questions, whether they know them right there or they know them ad hoc, right? Like that's the kind. So, I love that legal guide. Yeah, or your legal guide. And guys, the reason Vanessa's here is not just because she's one of my best friends, but she legitimately is helping my mom right now through a process. Like, and I was very vocal about it. So I wouldn't say you can share everything, but obviously like that is so comforting for somebody like me who has only so much time to give, but I want to make sure my mom is taken care of. So knowing that I could call Vanessa, explain to her like, hey, here's what's happened. Can you take care of my mom so that I can like give her the right attention? And obviously I'm not first of all, we're Hispanic, Latinos, right? When your parents go through anything, they expect us to be able to be like lawyers and doctors and like be their representatives for everything.
Yeah,
And I
I
don't
get
want to
it.
do so.
That's one of our frustrations that we talk about together on the personal side, where it's like you're the go-to. What was it? I think I put something out like a meme earlier, like this month, where it was like the eldest daughter is like, why is the eldest daughter like the manager of the family? And I'm like, because we're just the go-tos, we're the fixers, we're the everything. So we are the managers. So I completely understand, especially with the Hispanic market, or not even Hispanic market, when you are that eldest child and taking care of I shouldn't say taking care of your parents, but your parents rely on you now, right?
Mhm.
Like you're educated. You should figure this out. You know all the answers, right? Um, and that's frustrating because they think we have all the time in the world just to like put down what we're doing, just to like help them. So it's nice to be like, all right, take care of it, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
Ingrid, my parents are going through, or if someone's going through a home thing, like, hey, take care of it. I don't have all the
Well,
answers, but I have the person who does.
totally. And I think as we grow in our like respective professions and build our own businesses, one of the things that we have to be really good is delegating and finding those experts in whatever fields it is so that we can do more with our time. So that is why I really appreciate you, because that's exactly how I leveraged you. I was like, Vanessa, I know you're going to take care of my mom. You guys are very well known for this support. So please. And by the way, we're live on Instagram too. So if you're on Instagram,
Hey.
come check us out on YouTube. What I really love is that somebody did mi baraka, or I don't know if I said that right. Says you guys are the ones that went to school. My parents always say. So it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
not for
yeah,
that specific profession. Mm-hmm.
we are. They're funny, but we love our parents, but it always takes a breath of like patience to be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. But you know what? I appreciate that because when I deal with my clients, I
Mm-hmm.
think of them the same way, especially like the hard ones, right? The ones who are like, they don't have a lot of trust in the system, right? Where I get it. Perfect. Let me, I love those clients because let me tell you what I'm not. I'm not an attorney. I'm not here to
Mm-hmm.
take your money. I'm not here to do that. But let me educate you on your situation. And by the end of our conversation, they're like, yeah, I think you're
Yeah.
right. I think you need an attorney, right?
You build
So
you build better trust because you technically aren't the system. You're like working with the system.
correct. I'm like the ally, right? And it's been fun because I tell people I'm kind of like your legal matchmaker sometimes. And I work with multiple firms in the Valley. I don't work with all firms, but I work with very specific firms that take care of our clients, that communicate. And granted, there's things that happen, but that's why I'm your go-to if anything happens or calls aren't being returned. Guess who's getting the call? I am, and I'm fixing that situation. But um, I understand people's situation where, hey, somebody might need a little bit more hand holding. Hey, this person's completely Spanish, is going to require this. They're going to make a better match with this firm, right? Or, hey, this firm is going through some growth spurts right now. So I can see all the behind the scenes of all the firms and what's going on. But I love being able to play that matchmaker and be able to connect, the client with their legal team.
Yeah, fantastic. And welcome to the show, Howard and Tanya. I see you guys on the comments. Thanks for telling us where you're joining us from. I really appreciate that.
Where they
So
joining from?
So we have Howard joining from Seattle and Tanya
Wow.
from New
Okay.
Mexico, a place called Lovington. I've never heard of that place, but hey. So Vanessa, give us a little bit of like, how did you land here? How did you figure out that we needed a legal ally? I really like that you said that. Like, what's your origin story?
So what I noticed when I was working with the law firm, I had a really great attorney that I was with for 5 years, and he really trained me really well and allowed me to be his first eyes on things. And I love that. So he empowered me, right? But I got to this place where I'm like, man, I just saw a lot of friends just kind of like not wanting to sign up after their car accident, just losing that, me losing the opportunity to be able to help them, right? And I'm like, what could I do? So I kind of felt myself moving towards like, I guess the marketing side of things, right? And I was like, I never thought I'd want to be on this side of things, but I felt like with my personality, the amount of people that I know, my involvement in the community, I felt like it was a natural, it was a natural place for me to be. So being the one that I was finding the solutions for everybody, after their car accident, their body shop, their rental, their this, their that, I just started realizing like, okay, I'm building these relationships. I have this, but I was getting frustrated with some restrictions that I was having because I was working with the law firms. And what I mean by that, when you work with the law firms, a lot of people who are financially strapped are like, hey, I can't afford a rental. I can't pay $50 down, right? And at the law firm, they can't give money out. A lot of people think like, let me have an advance on my money. Let me have like, we don't know what your case is worth, right? So there's a lot of ethical rules. So I just felt like I was being restricted on how I can help my clients, right? Where I knew that, hey, if there was a way for me to help this client here with the $50, that's going to allow them to get into their rental, allow them to go to their doctors, allow them to go to work, right? For $50, we're holding up a case. That's just like a very simple like solution. So for me, I would never want to put my attorneys or the firms that I was working at in any kind of ethical bind. So I just felt like restricted, whereas like, okay, if I remove myself, now I don't have those restrictions, right? Where I can say, hey, attorney, let me be helpful to you by helping this client through that process. And guess what? They're going to be on their way. And that $50, I'll eventually get it back. Or sometimes I'm like, I don't even care. Go, just it's nothing for me, right? Just
Right.
go. I'm just glad you got it taken care of, right? So that's really where I noticed that I could provide more solutions without restrictions if I went on my own. So
Well, I love it. You saw the challenge. Yeah, you saw the challenge and you're like, how can I still contribute differently and provide more clients to you're actually looking out for the lawyer even more.
Yeah, with my knowledge and experience, being able to use that when I deal with my clients, because clients are just so overwhelmed and they have 20 questions on each subject. So I'm always like, let's just focus on what we have on hand, because we can go through every 20 questions, but I'm not going to waste your time and I'm not going to waste on my time. Let's go to the next step and then we'll take it step by step. So it's just like, calm down. I got you, right? If it's something that I can help you with, I tell people this all the time. Look, I am always going to tell you the truth. I'm always going to be very direct, even when it's not in your favor, because the last thing I want to do in these situations is try to mislead you and be like, oh, it's going to be fine. No, your situation is a little bit ugly, but I see potential. We just have to do this, this, and that, right? Because especially in a situation right after a car accident, there's so many unknowns. So the last thing I want to do is make any promises that I can't keep, right? And it's a stressful situation. And that's the last time you want to, that's the last point you want to get misled, right? Or lied to. So I'm always very direct, even when the situation isn't very favorable to you. But I'm always like, I have solutions. They might not be the ones you want, but I have solutions.
Yeah. One of the models that I live by in my household is solutions only. So if you're going to bring me a complaint, I always say, okay, well, what's your solution? So I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Obviously you first started out with car accident and like injury representation, not representation, but like at a law
Correct.
firm who represented.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are some of the gems that you can drop to our audience that people should be aware of? And so that they find themselves in a more favorable position, right? Because like you've mentioned, sometimes you can't solve for all the problems, but how can we help ourselves before things get bad? Like, what are the top things you could call out?
One, first of all, is protect yourself before the situation even occurs. There's so many people out there that are like, I just want, everyone thinks they have full coverage. If you have full coverage, no, you don't. Okay. I always tell people that full coverage doesn't exist. Okay. People hear full coverage, and the way sometimes these insurance, well, I shouldn't say these, the brokers, whoever's selling the insurance, because I know that they educate their clientele. The clientele's like, no, I just want to save myself $50 a month and not use that insurance, right? So protect yourself. If you have liability only, it's going to cost you more in the end. Liability only and full coverage are used the same way, because the state of Arizona only requires you to have a certain coverage to drive so that you could protect somebody else if you are at fault for an accident. The state does not require that you protect yourself. So go look at your deck page, that page that you never look at because you don't care, because you don't want to see how much you're paying every month, right? There's going to be some coverages on there. If anything in there says that you rejected a coverage and it's uninsured, underinsured, or collision coverage, your SOL, if there's an accident and somebody who hits you doesn't have any coverage. So you're saving yourself $50 a month, but you're going to end up with, maybe a car that you still owe a payment on, right? Like, the situations, I can tell you, get real ugly. So protect yourself with your auto insurance. Make sure that you have the uninsured, underinsured, collision coverage, at least at the minimum. Okay?
Yeah, makes sense. So Howard's asking a really great question, because you did grow up being in Arizona. So your business is here in Arizona. I say here, but I'm actually in Nevada. But nationwide.
So yes, I did start out in Arizona, but the cool part of it is all my attorneys that I work with very closely are licensed in other states. As a matter of fact, they're licensed in those states first, and then they're secondary here. Maybe secondary, they might be licensed anywhere else. But the whole Southwest region, I definitely have attorneys in California, Nevada, Denver, New Mexico, Texas, the Southwest region, Utah. So although I'm based here, I still have my networking connections that expand throughout the Southwest.
And just so that we're clear, because your origins began with like the car accident or like accident related scenarios, but you're expanding, right? Like it used to be Victory Accident Solutions, and now it's Victory Legal. So
and
tell
it changed to Victory Legal within the first year. And part of that was because some of my reoccurring clients are like, well, I wasn't in a car accident, but my brother needs a DUI attorney, right? Or my aunt needs an immigration attorney, or hey, I need a business attorney. So anything within the legal realm, I always tell people, just give me a call. I'll hear your situation out and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to connect you with this attorney, right? Because they're the ones who are the expertise in like that area. So absolutely, it's not always personal injury. The other thing too that I educate people on is the difference between a contingency fee and a retainer fee, right?
Tell me what the difference is.
Wait. So a lot of people think when they're going to sign a fee agreement, the first question they ask is like, well, how much is the fee, right? Well, in Arizona, the state bar, and every state varies, but what an attorney can charge, right? So in a personal injury claim, those are contingency fees. It's contingent on the attorney getting you a settlement. If they are successful in getting you a settlement, they're going to get a fee from that. But one thing that I pride myself with my attorneys that I work with is that they really do a thorough job to make sure that these clients are being made whole, because you're the one who was in the accident, not the attorney, right? Yes, the attorney puts in that work, and a lot of people think, oh, the attorney's going to take all my money. Believe me, they're not going to take all your money. If they're going to take all your money, they wouldn't stay in business, because you know how many Google reviews they would have that said, hey, don't go to them, they take all my money. I was left with this and that. Will I say there's different attorneys in town that will get you less money? Yes, I absolutely can say that confidently. But that's why I'm very particular about who I work with, is because they're a reflection of me and vice versa. So with contingency fees, people have a misconception that they're going to have to pay first before the attorney represents them, and that's absolutely false. Those type of fees are called retainer fees, and that's when you have to hire an immigration attorney, a criminal attorney, a DUI attorney, a business attorney. Those attorneys need to get paid first before they begin the work, and those fees are completely different. So a lot of people eliminate themselves right away because they think that after a car accident or a personal injury claim, because they don't feel like they can afford an attorney. And that's when I speak with them, educate them, and then they're like, oh, okay, I get it. So that's what I enjoy in educating our clients with that.
Which, by the way, I definitely need to use your services again as my business grows and as other opportunities come about. I'm learning more and more about having like a team, especially a legal team. So again, such an advantage to having you as a best friend to be like, hey, Vanessa, I need a business attorney. I need to write this like joint venture agreement.
Yeah.
Who would you recommend? So really cool. It's really good to have somebody you can count on, trust. Like, you don't have to do everything yourself. There's a book that we've recommended in the podcast before called Who Not How. And so for me, Vanessa is a who for me. She's amazing. And so I don't have to know all about the legal stuff or how I could be best represented by a legal team. I can just confer with Vanessa and be like, Vanessa, I need this lawyer. Hook me up. Like, who should I go with? And so you're essentially I'll call it like the sales and marketing extension of these firms, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And part of it is because I'm so involved in the community, and, I do a lot that I tell people I'm like the walking billboard, right? Because it's these conversations that I have at networking events, where it's like the grassroots, very like small, intimate spaces where I have those 5 minutes to speak with somebody and I'm on their mind. And they're like, oh yeah, right. So that's what I like appreciate. But yeah, absolutely. I love that you and I are both extensions of each other. And, I like to say, like, my extensions go beyond legal, because someone will be like, I'm looking for this specific vendor, or I'm like, use this person, right? Or I'm looking for this, and I'm like, use that person, right? So I take those questions very, I'm honored when people ask me, because they're like, oh, they trust me. They want to know who I use, right? So, one of the things I see on social media, I hate when people put, who is the best, I don't know, who is the best baker out there? Who is the best person that does your AC? Who's the best? And I'm like, that's the worst way to frame that question. I always want to be like, who's the worst plumber you've used, right? Like, show me all the plumbers, right? Because I'm not going to use any of those. So I'm going to base my search off of that. But that annoys me when people are, tell me the best, right? Like the best, but I'm going to tell you who I've used and why I had a good experience with them. And for me, I like supporting small businesses because I'm a small business. And so for me, it's always important to be able to connect you with a small business owner, because I know that you're supporting their family and so on and so forth. And then just building up that continual network and relationship.
It's funny because in real estate, and I love how Howard put it on here, there's different avatars. And an avatar could say like, it speaks to your strong suits and what your superpowers are, right? And one of the superpowers in real estate for us is monetizing connections. And ultimately, that's exactly what you're doing, is you're monetizing your legal connections. Although I would say, what does it look like? So if I were to call you, Vanessa, and say, hey, I've been in a car accident. Like, how are you going to be taken care of if I wanted to use your services?
So one of the things I take care of the things that you don't know are priority. First of all, where's your car? You know, is your car in the tow yard? Yeah, it's been there. Okay, I need to get that out as soon as possible. Why? Because you don't realize that in 10, 15 days, you're going to get a letter from the tow yard that says, hey, you abandoned your vehicle, and basically we're going to take over your title. And people are like, oh my gosh, but it wasn't my fault. In Arizona, it doesn't need to be your fault. You're responsible for your vehicle, right? Two, I kind of I tell people I need to see what cards you've been dealt. How many people were involved in your accident? What insurances? Because let me tell you guys, every insurance handles things a little bit differently, right? Was it an Uber, right? A lot of people think, it was an Uber, it'll be quick. No, it's not. There's a third party to it. So that's why you come to me to streamline that process. Let me and my team handle those calls. Let us handle all the messy stuff so that you can focus on your family. You can focus on signing big deals out of state, Ingrid. You focus on what is priority for you and your family. Let me take care of all the messy stuff. Let our team take care of that. The sooner you get us involved, the sooner I can take those calls off of your plate, get things in order, and then we can say, all right, Ingrid, this is your property damage. This is what's going to go on with it. This is where we're at. This is how quickly we can get you a rental, so on and so forth. And then for the injury component side, hey, you went and saw your doctor sent you to physical therapy, so on and so forth. So it allows us just to take this messy situation, bring it onto ourselves, straighten it out, and then give you the updates along the way.
Yeah, I love that. Again, kind of taking away all that administrative burden and the things that I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know that you have to jump through hurdles for all those other ways that insurance could impact you. So I'd like to talk a little bit about when you chose to break off from the firm, because it's one of my proud moments of you, and it makes me smile that you really bet on yourself. But I kind of love that part of your story. Could we focus a little bit on that?
Yeah. So I officially opened my business in 2019, April of 2019, but I was still working for a law firm. So I didn't like the being on a contract and working for the firm at the same time. So I waited until January of 2020 where I decided to make the jump and say, all right, I'm going to be contract based. I'm not going to be getting that check every 2 weeks, right? And I'm going to go earn my money, right? So things weren't getting funny just yet. And it wasn't until February, I actually had gone to DC, representing some Latinos here in Arizona. And there was a lot of talk about COVID when we went there. And I'm like, something's going on, right? So when I came back, it was just all right, I gotta figure out what I'm doing. But the crazy part about it is that I was already virtual. I was already paperless. Everything I was doing was electronic. So when the world shut down in March, I kind of played this mind game with myself, because you saw all these attorneys suddenly be like, hey, we do Zoom. Hey, we do phone calls. Hey, we do, all these things. And I was like, oh my God, I need to do it too. And then I just had to step back and be like, wait, Vanessa, you were already doing it. Why are you comparing yourself? Right. So I had to check myself to be like, no, girl, you're already in this. So it definitely was scary, right? To be because nobody's driving. Nobody was getting in accidents, right? So I was like, all right. So I was just luckily I had a great business coach that I was working on. So honestly, I feel really blessed because I was working with a business coach. That was one of the first things I did when I went on my own, because people are afraid to invest in themselves. So I invested in myself to learn how can I be the best boss ever. And I don't even have a team, but when I wanted to set myself up to have a team. So I was working with somebody, and I was also part of a mentorship, a mastermind group per se, right? And just being able to talk about different situations. So definitely use that downtime to to level up per se and understand things at a different level and not scare myself out of stuff, right? So I was still out there. I was networking. I was making relationships. I mean, I was going hard, right?
Mhm.
And everything just kind of, I don't want to say leveled out, because they say the first 2 years of a business is hard, right? You're going to sink or swim. And I'm like, there's one thing I'm not doing. I'm not sinking. I'm going to figure this out. So I hustled harder than I probably have ever had to hustle. So thankfully, now it's not like how many clients did I get this month. It's like I'm not even worried about that anymore, because my clients are coming in. That trust has been built. Those funnels of relationships have now are secured, right? So that's all coming in, and now there's other things for me to focus on, right? But after that first year and a half, I kind of just like look back and I'm like, oh, like shit, we made it, right? So now it's like, now I'm like, nah, you can't tell me nothing,
That's
right?
right.
Because I survived in the year that nobody should have survived when they opened up their business. And so I don't know if that was good or bad, but that made me hustle harder and work harder and build those relationships and invest in myself. That, here I am now, just being able to be like, I see everything that has evolved, everything has, came to fruition, and I've been able to be more involved in my community, sponsor events, like giving where I want to give, right? Because
Yeah.
if I receive, I'm always going to give. So you're always going to see me be part of the community in one way or another, or supporting someone, or helping a new woman. I can't even tell you how many women I've been able to help start their own business, right?
Mhm.
And it's been exciting for me to see them start and thrive. And then they are helping somebody else build a new business. So I'm always very like humble about that, but it's just always nice to be like, I remember our conversation. I remember our conversation, right? It makes me feel very motherly, like,
Yeah,
I,
it's emotional currency that's
yeah,
what you're receiving.
yeah.
My face is hurting from all the smiling because I still remember, sort of that transition for you, and I think that speaks to your tenacity. And so imagine somebody like Vanessa, like who's going to work and real work outwork everybody, not going to allow excuses to come and stop her, not even something like a pandemic. So this is the kind of person you want having your back with your legal needs. So for sure, that's why I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad to see what your journey has become, and it's so cool. And if you guys, I want to actually show your Instagram. Let me see if I can pull it up because it's so beautiful. Like really, truly, from a
Oh, don't
market.
judge me. I just came back from a legal conference, which it was a legal conference, but it looks like a concert, but it was amazing. So,
Okay,
oh,
I can't
cool.
tell
Look
it.
at you, girl. Look at,
Yeah.
okay.
So it was so awesome. So this is Vanessa's Victory Legal Solutions page, and if anything, is an extremely entertaining page. I always look forward to her reels because they're always
Oh, thank you.
so beautiful. But look, the very first thing you'll see is Baila por la Vida, which is an event. Do you want to talk to us a little bit
Yeah,
about
real
that?
quick. Ingrid, you know my story. You've known my story for a long time, but I am a 18-year cancer survivor. So it was a story that I didn't speak about often for multiple reasons. But it was very interesting that as I started my business, I started doing some volunteer work with the American Cancer Society, and it's been this beautiful transition of anything that I've learned in my business. I kind of took over to the nonprofit volunteer side and basically created a group called Latinos Contra Cancer that falls under the American Cancer Society. We are the American Cancer Society, but what I noticed, again, I'm a helper. I like creating solutions. I found that a lot of people within the Latino community, close friends, family members were passing away due to cancer. And, there's all these resources and education that aren't getting into that community and not getting to that community in that language that they can digest, right? So we created Latinos Contra Cancer with other leaders in the area, and basically created a health and wellness fair and I created this event called Baila por la Vida, which basically is like dance for life. So this year is just a beautiful, beautiful event that really has come together, and we're being supported by law firms. And the Simon Law Group is a group that I have a new relationship with, but they saw in me how much I'm connected to the community, like, what I do in the legal world, and they put their stamp of approval. So I was really honored that they were coming in as a presenting sponsor. But Baila por la Vida, we started 4 years ago, and we raised, I think, 13,000. And this year we're close to hitting our goal of 200,000. So
amazing.
I know, Ingryd, I know you're always trying to get. I got you, girl. We're gonna work together on some raising money stuff. So I got you. But anyways, that's just affirmation to be like, when you put your mind to something, and it sounds so cheesy, right? Like, put your mind to it, you can get it, right? Like, no, really, like, manifest that shit and make it happen. And it's not going to look beautiful the first time. It's not going to look beautiful the second time. Shit, it's not going to look beautiful the third time. But let me tell you, by the fourth, fifth time, things are going to be like happening. So this year is like that magical year that I tell people, if you haven't been there, like, this is the year where everything's finally come together, where I'm not knocking on the doors. People are knocking on our doors. I want to support. I want to be part of the event. And I just, like, every time someone wants to be a sponsor, I'm like, like, I just want to cry, like ugly cry, because my heart just like feels it to its core, right? So we have our event that's coming up next Saturday. Diamondbacks, I need you to win the Super Bowl. Or wait.
The World Series.
I need you to win this World Series, like, early on, because I cannot have you going to Game 7, because I'm going to have to figure out how to put that game on the projector, because, again, I find solutions, okay? So, anyways, November 4th, it's going to be...
I bought my VIP tickets, so if you guys...
It's beautiful. It's going to be very community-driven. We have a local band that's going to be there. We have just everything local. It's just going to be beautiful. So we are looking forward to it. So November 4th, some tickets are still available. They probably will sell out by this weekend. I will put that on my page as well, so you can get in there. Tickets are $125. Again, this is $125 donation to a nonprofit. Okay, guys. Right. So, and even if you can't make it, don't make a donation. It makes a difference. So,
will you give me the link that people should go to? Yeah, put it in the private chat of the streamer that we're in, and then I'll put it on there so it'll be in the chat. So, while you do that, I was honored last year to be one of Vanessa's Valientes who helped raise funds. And so it's so awesome to see how it's transformed and how they're going for bigger numbers, and they should, because Vanessa's done such a good job at being a community leader. And again, people are looking to find her now because of just how much she does for everybody. So, of course, for all of you, especially that are always saying, can I go pick your brain? Like, literally, I'm going to be trapped at this event, which is an amazing event, and no better time than next week, and come pick my brain. So anywho,
maybe I'll get you a table and just be like,
what real estate stuff? And actually, it's a good point. So, like, even if
you would totally love that, by the way.
What did you say? What? Say that one more time.
That you would totally love that. Just like a table there to be like, who wants to make money? Who wants to make money with me? Let me tell you how to make money.
For sure. I think this link is really long. How are we should do like a, what is that, Bitly thing? Let me see if I could throw it in a Bitly, just to shorten it up. But hold on while I do this URL. It's just too long.
I know we have a shorter one, but I just copy and paste whatever that was like the last one for me. So yeah. And I tell people, because people are like, well, I want to buy a table. And I'm like, it's not a tabled event. It's, I've been telling people it's an experience, right? And because there's going to be a lot of walking around, it's going to be a festival type of an environment. There's going to be dancing, there's going to be food, there's going to be drinks, there's going to be entertainment, there's going to be some little surprises. But yeah, it's beautiful. And
Are you doing auctioning again this year too?
Yes, we actually have some like 4 solid like items. Like there's a vacation package in there. There's gosh. By the way, like this year has really leveled up because as a business owner and sometimes someone who's just like, I'm just gonna take care of it, you minimize like how big your event can be because you're not relying on your out like your team, right? Or you're not creating a team. So this year we actually created a subcommittee who these are all people who are extremely busy, but um, they found the time to volunteer, and they've been solid in bringing in some, cool sponsorships or sponsors, some cool like auction items. We're also going to
Mhm.
have some live artists going on. There's going to be some, some card clubs there. There's going to be like, it's going to be like, it's just magical is the word I'm going to be using. And it's going to be at the old train station, downtown Phoenix, which if you don't know where it's at, don't worry. I didn't know either because I'd never used the train from Phoenix, but it's, it's downtown, on like 4th Street and like Jefferson, something like that. But anyways, the address will be on there. But the venue's so beautiful because it still has like the big arches, the tall arches, and you have a little bit of that historic vibe. So it's one of those places that if you haven't, you wouldn't have seen it if you'd never like used the train station. Cloth and Flame, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, that's actually their building, and they're the ones doing all the decor and like setup. And if you guys haven't seen their stuff is like pristine, and it's all the Instagrammable stuff, the ones that you want to take pictures of. So that's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, sounds like a great time. So how should I dress? Like it
Well,
sounds
girl, you know how I told you to dress for my birthday, but we won't say that out loud. But I tell
okay.
people to just dress in whatever makes you feel fabulous. I've been telling people like anything from cocktail to like formal. If you want to wear your cocktail dress or you want to wear a big long dress, whatever makes you feel fabulous, that's what I want you to wear.
Awesome sauce. Okay, definitely. And Vanessa gets on me about getting dressed up, so I will for sure.
Ingrid, all Ingrid needs is a little mascara and some lipstick, and she's popping. So
I appreciate that. Maybe I'll have my new friend Benson come, the owner from Prairie. He's sitting here listening to our podcast, so
yeah,
he's gonna be.
yeah.
So yeah, because next week there's gonna be a mastermind going on, and so I'm gonna make sure anybody who can come from that event should come here. And it's honestly, talk about connections. Last year when I went to your event, Baila por la Vida, I made a general contractor connection. So he helped me finish out a property down in Tucson. And I would not have been able to make that kind of connection if I hadn't gone to the event. And I made a private money lender connection with one of the doctors that was one of the valientes there. So definitely worth every penny, invested
Yeah, it's
in.
$125.
Correct. Yeah, worth it. Like 100%. And honestly, especially those of us who think a little bit more strategically, especially if you're in real estate, like you want to go where the money is. Okay. I'm just being honest. And there's a lot of professionals that come to this event. You're going to see doctors, you're going to see lawyers, you're going to see people who
There will
are.
be people there from the Cardinals, from from the Arizona Coyotes. There's going to be some people representing a different country. There's going to be different people coming from out of state, definitely different lawyers, doctors, elected officials. So it's just not an event. Like I said, it's going to be a lot of who's who within the community, especially the Hispanic Latino community. If you're really trying to tap into that market as well, like there's going to be a lot of people that you're going to want to be talking to. And that company, Ingryd, actually came back as a sponsor for our event as well this year too. So again, they saw it, they loved it, and they're like, yeah, I want to be part of it. So yeah, I'm super proud of how everything has unfolded, and it's just I'm glad that you're going to be able to enjoy it. And those tickets do come with complimentary wine and beer. If you're like, I don't drink wine, I don't drink beer, there are going to be there's going to also be different liqueur there, but again, you'll just have to go there. And most importantly, you guys, this event is always held around Dia de los Muertos. Because the first thing that I tell people and what you'll see when you walk in is we have an altar or an ofrenda, and we put photos of our loved ones that have passed due to cancer, right? So we did that. I did that in mind because of the people that I lost. I kind of thought about them, and I want to honor them this night. I want to celebrate them and let them know that we're here to continue this fight, right, in their honor, and also celebrate people like myself who were lucky enough to find out that they had cancer, to be able to, get diagnosed early enough to find, those solutions and get in and out and start feeling better and get better. But we do have an ofrenda there that we do honor our loved ones that did pass, because I think that's super important to recognize that even though it is a celebration, we're there because of people that meant something to us.
For sure. Actually, let's talk a little bit about some of those services offered, because part of going to this event was that I also got educated about how many resources are really available to us. And like you mentioned earlier, especially those in the Hispanic or the Latino community, like you're kind of afraid of the system, especially when you hear something like you have cancer, you feel, quite frankly, like you're on the outskirts. So what are some of the services that Latinos Contra Cancer can offer folks who are kind of going through that scary time, and actually they should be taking advantage of? And that's obviously part of what your mission is.
Correct. So essentially, we're the American Cancer Society. And one of the things that we keep pushing is just go get screened, go to your regular doctor's appointments, right? But some of the resources that I really pride myself on is, one, there's an 800 number. And I know it just sounds super generic and cold. Like, I don't want to dial an 800 number. But one of the most beautiful stories I heard was of a gentleman, an older man who had got diagnosed. He would call every night just to vent to the counselor there, somebody, because he didn't want to vent to his family, because he didn't want to scare them, right? He didn't want them to be worried or whatever. But vice versa, his family members, and I don't know if they called or not, but as a family member, that number is there for you too. And it's a line that's open 24/7 year round. They have different languages available. These are trained counselors, and you may not even know, like, hey, like I had ovarian cancer, right? Like, hey, I got diagnosed with ovarian cancer. I don't even know where to start. And, I was able to get connected with a group of women, and specifically a lady who was dealing with ovarian cancer. And I was able to ask her questions about, well, what did you decide about this? Or what did you decide about that, right? So they can really connect you and narrow it down to someone that you can speak with or put you in a group. And I think that's super important when you're going through this sometimes, is that your family members may not know how to support you, but you might find another group of people that might be able to support you differently, right? So that 800 number isn't just the 800 number and it's cold calling. You're received really well. So that's a number that I'll share with you too, Ingrid. But the other thing too is that there's transportation for people. If you have to go to your chemo or your doctor's appointment because it's related to cancer, there's transportation available for you to get there and get back. And again, you would call that 1-800 number to let them know, hey, I need a ride. And that helps family members, like how we started this conversation, Ingrid. Sometimes we can't always be there for our parents because we have meetings or this and that. But you know that there's a resource there to help get your parents there and back, or your loved ones there back. It doesn't matter. Another resource that we have is called the Hope Lodge. And that's for anybody that has to get any treatment that's 100 miles away from their home. We can get you set up with a Hope Lodge in that city. Or if that city doesn't have it, we have relationships with different hotels that have very cost-friendly prices for patients, or sometimes no price at all, because they want you to focus on your healing journey and not on the costs associated with that. Okay.
Can I ask you a little bit about Hope Lodge? Because a large part of our audience are real estate investors. We've had other really amazing people on the podcast before that talk to us about how we can get involved in the nonprofits. Is that something that you see as an opportunity? Like, as we have these houses that maybe we can partner up with the Hope Lodge, and maybe, especially if there's cities that are underserved, figuring out how we can work with them to create those opportunities?
I can imagine that there is an opportunity that you can explore. Obviously, that's the logistics of that. I can obviously get into, but I will tell you that because we are a nonprofit, everything that we get and we earn, it is from, 90% of it is from donors donating the $5, the $10, the 5,000. So those Hope Lodges, we had to close some of those down across the
Mhm.
U.S. I want to say due to like COVID and there was other like situations, but there's a need for that, especially in some cities, and it's not even underserved communities. Ingryd, you and I have a mutual friend that had got diagnosed with stomach cancer. His wife was a nurse in New York. He was a business guy in New York. They had their doctors there, and they were making their move to Florida. But they wanted to go back to their doctor specifically in New York because that's who they had the trusted relationship with. And they had no longer had their apartment there. So they were trying to figure out like, okay, we'll stay with Susan 5 days. And then after the surgery, then we'll stay with Joe and his family for 3 days. And I'm like, what the hell? Why? Absolutely not. You guys are not doing all that, right? Let me call a Hope. Let me call the 1-800 number. And literally, all they had to do is get the doctor to write on a prescription pad the date of the surgery, how long that patient had to be in that city, send it over to the number for the Cancer Society, and basically got them a room so that they didn't have to finagle all like the moving around. So to your point, it doesn't necessarily have to be an underserved community, right? It can be people who are underserved who need to go somewhere, right? But some of these places are like, some of these cancer, like, or these hospitals, like Houston. Houston does a lot of trials and stuff out there, right? So to answer your question, I think there's that opportunity, but because it's like a nonprofit, how does that work as far as for you guys on the ownership side, right? Is it we're filling it up with people who need this, right? And because we have a good property, but that's where like those logistical things on how you guys make your money and how to support something like this. I can't put those two together, but I could definitely, I love stuff like that to see like how can
How
we
do we
work?
do it? How can we make it work? Yeah,
That is,
absolutely.
yeah,
Let's figure it out. So maybe we'll put a pin on
we'll
that
figure
to
it out.
say
Yeah,
how can maybe we create some sort of relationship here, especially since Caroline and I have so many friends across the nation who they love to do some real estate stuff that has a purpose, and this just
yeah,
feels like such a good a feel good story,
I love that.
especially when we're maybe over indexed with any properties that maybe this would serve. So very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to be respectful of your time. And so as we close out, if anybody has questions for Vanessa, please make sure you put them on the chat. We've had several folks out in Instagram land, so you can't see that, but my when I
Okay.
was poking around over here was on was on Instagram. So definitely would love to continue to put your name out there. You're doing so much good for the community. And then, so how do folks get a hold of you if they need to go like, for example, I have your number in my phone. So how do they get a hold of you if they need that real estate aid, or excuse me, lawyer or
Legal
divorce
connection. Any of
lawyer or
that.
legal?
Yeah.
Like,
I have a lot of friends that are like, hey, my sister was in an accident or whatever. I'm gonna have her call you. What happens is people get so overwhelmed, and you're like, sister never calls, right? Because they're like, oh crap, I forgot to call her. I always tell people, look, as long as they're okay with it, put us in a group chat. Hey, this is my sister. She was in an accident. And I'm like, hey, sister. And then I'll create a separate chat. So now it's in my system. I'm following up. I'm keeping tabs on it, right? Like I'm trying just to keep them calm. So if you know me and you have my number, connect me with that person in a group text. Find me on Instagram, Victory Legal Solutions. You can send me a message there. I have a link there. If it's easier for you just to schedule like an appointment with me based on your availability, you can, make an appointment with me there. But sending me a message, my cell phone's on there. You can text me, you can DM me, you can email me, yeah, you can
oh,
call
there we
me.
go.
There's multiple ways. So I'm very active on my Instagram. I'm checking it all the time. So yeah, there's multiple ways for you to get involved. Oh yeah, and there's all my links there for the event, my LinkedIn, my stuff, or what is it? My LinkedIn, my professional LinkedIn, my Victory LinkedIn, and my the tickets for the event. So yeah, Ingrid, we should do this more often. I love this. I feel like this is the only time I get to see you, really.
I know we're so crazy busy. But that's also another reason I love you, is because you understand what that grind looks like and don't judge me for it. So for sure. But this is very good. So out there, if you guys need to have a legal connector, which is what Vanessa is, make sure you're following her on Victory Legal Solutions, and then using the link in her bio to schedule a call for anything you might need, especially after a car accident. She will hook you up and make sure you or your loved ones are taken care of. So
Yes, absolutely. Well, I appreciate it, Ingrid. I love it. And yeah, let's figure out how we keep working together. We're gonna work together. We're gonna figure it
well,
out.
I am still convinced that you would make such an amazing capital raiser because you have such strong connections. And at some point, we will be able to get over the hump of you're actually creating more opportunities with people with money who are trying to hold on to their wealth.
I'm
But
there. Give me a year. Next year we'll be talking about the capital that we raised. So,
hey, let's go.
I
All
like
right.
manifesting that stuff. So yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. So I'm
Fantastic.
excited.
Well, super honored to finally have you on the podcast. I hope this means that there'll be some donations headed your way for Latinos Contra
Yeah.
Cancer, and then some more followers, because I know your service is top notch. So I love you. I hope more success is headed your way, and we will definitely see each other next week at
I love you too. Make sure you wear your red lipstick and get your hair done, or comb your
Right.
hair, brush your
Mhm.
hair. I don't know. I'm
All
always
right.
giving you a hard time, but okay. I will see you, and thank you for you guys taking your time to. Hopefully, it was somewhat entertaining and informative. And go follow me, Victory Legal Solutions. Send me a DM if you have any questions. And yeah, there's no fee to charge. There's no fee to speak with me. So ask
Fantastic.
away.
Well, thanks
So,
everybody. If you got value from this, please make sure you're sharing the podcast with your friends, your family. And we will see you just like we do every week at Wednesday, 4 p.m. Arizona time. And then maybe next week we could talk about the deal that Caroline locked up. She's supposed to close this deal on Friday. So I
I
think
know I
she's,
miss Caroline. Tell her I
I
said hi to
know.
you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks everybody.
Bye, guys.